All right. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Cyrus.
You're Cyrus.
Yep. I was born in the United States, but I studied in Hong Kong for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty much me.
All right. What's the significance of the protest to you?
The protest will be. It is actually, for me, it's more like a history accident. I like in May on May. I didn't really expect there would be so much people coming out because even though China has been like eroding Hong Kong's autonomy, for most of the time Hong Kongers are trying to immigrate into other places. But this time I think most Hong Kongers felt that's too much, and it's time to stand for our home. So that's why there are couple large protests occurred. And actually, in fact, it's like August 18th in Hong Kong, that is 1.7 billion as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
What do you think about the extradition bill?
Well, it'll be like a serious grip of the communist Chinese into Hong Kong judicial system, and that's greatly affect the Hong Kong autonomy.
All right. What do you have to say about the Hong Kong police?
Hong Kong police has been using excessive brutal forces, including like shooting into first aider's eyes, making her blind forever. There's also one high school teacher that get blinded as well. Severely, not totally blind, but like severely affect his vision. And then there are tear gases used indoors, which is against the use of tear gas. Using of expired tear gas.
Yeah.
And then there are like planted evidence into protesters. Police also pretend themselves to be protesters in order to arrest them. So all of these are not professional from a police standpoint. I think.
All right. What do you think about the Chinese influence in Hong Kong?
Chinese influence in Hong Kong is great. Like for example, there's a major media called TVB. It has been pretty much turned into a pro-Chinese media. So there are news that like a young girl suicide with her suicide notes written on the wall. When the news report, it comes out to be she suicide because of a recent breakup with her boyfriend, but that is like totally untrue. Yeah. So first is the media. Second would be every like major post in Hong Kong or even like within the government.
Did you have anything else to say about that question?
You mean the Chinese script in the Hong Kong?
The Chinese influence in Hong Kong, yes.
Okay, and they also get into our education systems. We use traditional Chinese character. We speak Cantonese, and they're trying to make a Mandarin and a simplified Chinese. So all in all, like they influence in every aspect and level in Hong Kong after 1997.
All right. Do you have anything else that you want to say about this issue?
You mean the issue about traditional?
The issue of the entire thing that's happening in Hong Kong right now.
Okay, so for my personal opinion, the ultimate and the roots of the whole problem would be giving Hong Kong the universal suffrage is promised in the one country two system basic law. I think that's the roots. And if the government is willing to back up and do what they promised, then I think the problem can be solved easily. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, Tom O'Brien from the northwest side of Chicago.
All right, what's the significance of the Hong Kong protest to you?
I've been following on Twitter just individual accounts of Hong Kongers.
Yeah.
And it seems pretty clear to me that they just need support because they're facing an overwhelmingly powerful, tyrannical government.
What do you think about the extradition bill?
I didn't know much about it until they came out with it. I think it's infringement on their sovereignty, and I think that would be the end of their independence if it were to go through.
All right. What do you think about the Hong Kong police?
I don't know as much as my friend Randy, but it seems like many of the police are not from Hong Kong. At least they're not acting that way.
Yeah.
And so I would support Hong Kongers' right for more rights, especially like a Second Amendment. More of a deterrent. They don't seem to have much of a deterrent right now, except their strength in numbers. So.
What do you think about the Chinese influence in Hong Kong?
I think it doesn't coincide with Hong Kongers' decision about their own future. So, which is why you're seeing such large protests, and just the percentage of the population of Hong Kong showing up says there's clearly something wrong. And I worry about how it would end.
All right. Do you have anything else that you want to say regarding this topic?
I think right now, getting information out of Hong Kong, this protest is fairly small.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons is that new immigrant communities to the United States are very tight-knit.
Yeah.
So the problems might spread like wildfire among their communities, but it's hard to get it to the rest of the city. So I think getting information out is probably the biggest hurdle. And besides Twitter, I don't know how you would do that, because it's not happening on major networks, or you just get a little snippet. So I think that would be the biggest concern.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, man.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Alex. I work from Hong Kong. I came here to United States 5 years ago, and I'm studying in UIC for bioengineering.
What's the significance of the protests in Hong Kong to you?
I'm 30 years old, almost 30 years old right now. So I live in Hong Kong for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
Most of my classmates and my teachers, they participate in the protests. So I don't know what you guys think. Some of the people think the Chinese they're not agree with what they're doing. But for me, 90% of my classmates, my friends, my teachers, they are supporting the movement in Hong Kong. So I feel like I have to need to do the same thing like what they were doing there in Hong Kong too.
All right. What do you have to say about the extradition bill?
I think the extradition bill is somewhat misleading, and I feel like the government, if we don't want to do a good thing, they should have a longer time period to asking the people what they think, instead of just pushing it, giving people like maybe 10, 20 days to push it through the council. That is like just not the way to do any like kind of policy.
What do you have to say about the police in Hong Kong?
Police in Hong Kong we believe they are very professional. They know what they're gonna do, and they help Hong Kong to be one of the safest cities in the world. But right now, they were just a tool of the government to try to using excessive force to strike on the protesters. So I don't feel like that's a great thing for them to do that. They're not professional anymore. They're not standing for the people anymore.
What do you think about Chinese influence in Hong Kong?
Well, Chinese influence in Hong Kong is like increasing day to day. I think it's normal. I think sometimes it's a good way. Sometimes they are in a good way to doing some, maybe like economy zone or whatever it is. But they have to understand that Chinese and Hong Kong they're not the same culture. They were somehow similar, but because Hong Kong have a history background with as a British colony, they're completely different in a lot of ways. So they have to appreciate it and then not try to make it the same system, under the same system or the same culture.
Do you have anything else to say about what's happening in Hong Kong?
I just hope everybody try to know more from more degrees of doing the thing. Sometimes you look at from a Chinese, you hear it from Chinese. Sometimes you hear it from Hong Kong's. Sometimes you hear it from Americans. You should have to listen to a lot of different opinions and make your own judgment.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you for helping us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name. My name is Sam. I live in Chicago. I've moved here 4 months ago.
All right. What's the significance of the protests in Hong Kong?
The significance of the protests is that Hong Kong is basically trying to fight for their values, the values that they've had for the past 150 years, and China is slowly beginning to encroach on those values. Exactly, unfairly as well.
What do you think about the extradition bill?
I think it's one of those Trojan horses where China's trying to introduce a bill, but they have their own clever tactics that they want to try to push in to erode Hong Kong freedoms, pretty much.
All right. What do you think about the Hong Kong police?
I think it's excessive right now. I mean, I used to think that this is stuff we see in America with police brutality, but in Hong Kong, it's reaching sort of those levels right now, where the eye gouging incident and a lot of bad things in general. So,
what do you think about the Chinese influence in Hong Kong?
It's great. I mean, you can see it in every sector. You can see it in the way the triads have been given a green light to attack innocent civilians. You can see it in the way how cops have been reluctant to actually enforce rule of law in Hong Kong.
Do you have anything else you want to say about Hong Kong?
Free Hong Kong.
All right, thank you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is.
Sorry, hold on.
I'll just use an alias. My name is Steve.
All right. What's the significance of the Hong Kong protest to you?
To me personally, I think the protest or the movement in general represents a watershed moment, in Hong Kong history. Before that, I think the majority of the Hong Kong people didn't really have the determination to push for, political reform and universal suffrage in Hong Kong. So I think this movement represents the awakening of the majority of people in Hong Kong.
What do you think about the extradition bill?
I think it's just another way the CCP asserts power on Hong Kong and violates the fundamental structure of the one country, two system model. So they're basically violating their own promise.
All right. What do you think about the Hong Kong police?
The Hong Kong police, I think they've lost all the legitimacy to carry out the basic function as a police force in Hong Kong after the excessive brutality towards the people in Hong Kong.
All right. What do you think about Chinese influence in Hong Kong?
Chinese influence, after 20 plus years of handing over Hong Kong back to China, I think the influence of the Chinese government, the CCP, is basically everywhere in Hong Kong today. So that sums up pretty well.
What else do you have to say about Hong Kong?
There's a lot to say, so I will just try to be brief here. So I really hope that one day Hong Kong and Hong Kongers will be able to enjoy true democracy and civil liberty as a free society. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a second.
All right.